Tupac, he really had an issue with Jay-Z. He really didn't like him then.
Not at all. I think that if Pac was alive, that it would have been a whole different story. And as much money as Jay-Z has, he still hasn't accomplished what Tupac accomplished before he was at 25 years old.
Pac went in the studio and did a song together. And then them little dudes.
Outlaws.
Yeah.
Outlaws.
They came, like, as soon as we got there, they came up to Pac talking about, yo, Lauryn Hill dissed you, Mobb Deep dissed you.
Hold up. Tupac is a lyricist. See what I'm saying? It's just that he's not one of those lyrical MCs.
Big Daddy Kane just dropped a bomb about Jay-Z and Tupac that no one saw coming. And trust, this flips the script we've been fed for years. You probably know Kane gave Jay-Z his first real shot, putting him on back in the day. That's a fact. Jay was rolling with Kane, jumping in ciphers, spitting freestyles, while Kane held it down as a headliner. It was pure hustle. But as Jay's fame skyrocketed, Kane's name slowly vanished from the story. People just stopped mentioning him like he was never part of the come-up. And here's where things really start to heat up. What Kane's saying ties straight into Tupac, too. While Kane was helping Jay rise in the East, Pac was out here shaking the game, calling out the fakes, sending warning shots to the industry, and yes, even throwing jabs at Jay-Z. So what's Kane really trying to say? Did Jay-Z take more than just influence from Kane and Pac? Did he step right over both their legacies to build his own and never look back? It's time to really look at the moves behind the music.
But hold up. Tupac is a lyricist. See what I'm saying? It's just that he's not one of those lyrical MCs that spit stuff, but his stuff is, he spit deep lyrics that touch your soul.
Back when Jay-Z was still a hungry MC in the early 90s, Big Daddy Kane brought him on tour for his Chocolate City run. He gave Jay the spotlight, letting him tear up the stage with raw freestyles while Kane changed outfits backstage. But that's not all. Kane even helped push Jay's demo, recording songs with him and shopping those tapes to major labels. And here's the kicker. According to Kane, those labels weren't feeling Jay at first. They didn't like his flow, didn't think he had the sound. Imagine that.
Jay-Z, I heard that no one really wanted to sign him when you was shopping him around the record labels. Is that true?
Yeah. This was, I want to say, I don't know, 90, 91 maybe. We was, Jay, we recorded some songs, probably about 4 or 5 songs on Jay-Z, and shopped them to several different record labels, and they all passed.
Jay-Z almost didn't happen. Even when the labels turned their backs, Kane still believed Jay-Z would grow into a powerhouse, and he was right. But here's where the story takes a sharp left. Kane didn't just co-sign Jay, he helped shape that early flow, fast, smooth, aggressive. It had Kane's fingerprints all over it. But as Jay's fame exploded, that early bond practically vanished from the spotlight. Sure, in Jay's memoir, Decoded, he gives Kane a quick mention saying he learned timing and stage presence from him, but that's about it. No real love, no deep appreciation, no flowers, just a one-liner, and Kane definitely felt that silence. Then came the whispers. Fans started pointing at a bar from Jay's track, Do It Again, where he raps, "I've seen the same ish happen to Kane, 3 cuts in your eyebrows trying to wild out." Now hold up, Kane was known for those 3 eyebrow slits. That was his whole vibe back in the late 80s and early 90s. That line, it sounded like a cold shot, slick and subtle. Jay never confirmed it was about Kane, but people started connecting the dots. It didn't help that around that time, Kane's mainstream shine was fading, while Jay was climbing to the top. For someone who once looked up to Kane, who was mentored by him, to drop a line like that, yeah, it stung. The tone in Do It Again wasn't respectful. It felt icy, even dismissive. Even Angie Martinez allegedly called it out on her show, saying it sounded like a diss. Fans caught it, the streets heard it, and Kane definitely noticed it. That eyebrow line only added fuel to the rumors, but Kane, he played it cool in public, brushed it off like it was nothing. Still, behind the scenes, people kept talking. And when you mix that with Jay-Z's long-rumored ego and envy, yeah, things get messy. Jay once admitted he watched Kane like a hawk backstage, studying his moves, his stage game, everything. But once Jay built up that street-smart hustler persona, Kane quietly faded into the background, and some say it wasn't by accident.
I remember actually having a record deal through a production deal with someone else and recording, and then the next thing you know, someone else on the label blew.
Now, Kane's starting to question if Jay purposely erased him from the narrative, just phased him out like he never existed. And Kane wasn't the only one peeping the switch up. Around the same time Kane was stepping back, Tupac was stepping in, and he wasn't keeping quiet. Pac was already exposing the industry's dirty tricks, calling out how real artists were being replaced by rappers chasing clout, cash, and corporate vibes. And guess whose name started getting tossed around in that convo? Jay-Z. Way back, folks were whispering that Jay felt low-key threatened by Tupac. As skilled as Jay was with the bars, Pac had something else, real presence, raw energy, and that untouchable it factor. The kind of charisma you can't fake or learn, it's just there. And yeah, things got heated. Before Pac passed, there was real tension between him and Jay. The beef was bubbling. It kicked off when Jay linked up with Biggie, and together they started sending slick shots at the West Coast. Both reppin' Bed-Stuy, Jay and Big grew tight in the early 90s. By 1996, they dropped Brooklyn's Finest, and the timing couldn't have been more explosive. Brooklyn's Finest became one of the hottest tracks on Reasonable Doubt, but let's be real, it lit the match on something dangerous. Irv Gotti, who was tight with Jay at the time, later revealed he actually warned Jay not to put Biggie on that song. The East Coast versus West Coast beef was already way out of control, and Irv knew that pushing it any further could blow up in everybody's face.
I'ma go back to Brooklyn's Finest.
They gotta stop fighting first.
All right, listen, I'm gonna get you. The Joker moment is you need to hear a story that is just a new story. I was dead set against it. I was telling Jay, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And he was like, why? And I was just like, he's too strong. I said, but before we take over the world, we got to take over the West Coast. Before we take over the West Coast, we got to take over the East Coast. Before we take over the East Coast, we got to take over New York. Before we take over New York, you got to take over Brooklyn. And he owns all that. And I was like, this is not a whack. So I was just like, I was in fear that I was like, yo, you may come off like this little man. You understand?
See, Pac and Biggie used to be boys, but everything flipped in 1994 when Pac got shot 5 times during a robbery at Quad Studios in NYC. That moment changed hip-hop forever. Pac truly believed Biggie and Diddy knew something was about to go down and chose to stay silent. That silence felt like straight-up betrayal to Pac, and he never let it go.
I think Pac was more upset that word was getting back to him, that the people that did do this to him was affiliated one way or another with Biggie, whether they was extorting him or word got back that they was going to do this to Pac. So this is one of the reasons.
Now, Biggie always claimed he had no clue about the setup, but the damage was already done. After that, Pac and Biggie started firing shots at each other through tracks, interviews, everywhere. Just before Jay dropped Brooklyn's Finest, Biggie had already stirred things up with Who Shot Ya? And fans everywhere were sure that was a sneak diss aimed right at Pac. Tensions between the coasts were boiling over, and everyone knew it. That's exactly why Irv Gotti told Jay to hit pause on that collab, but Jay didn't listen. He dropped Brooklyn's Finest anyway, and the fallout was real. In his verse, Biggie threw direct shots at Pac, calling him his son and sliding in slick references to the scandalous rumors about Pac and Faith Evans.
And then what Big did, which I was like, that's why Pac was on Jay, because of Brooklyn's Finest. If they have twins, you probably have 2 Pacs. Get it? 2 Pacs. And Jay's on the record with him. So now he's like, you, ain't no like me, Jay-Z. Then he start bombing on Jay.
That track didn't just make waves, it sent shockwaves through both coasts. Pac started going hard at Jay-Z after the whole Brooklyn's Finest mess. He called Jay out on tracks like Bomb First, My Second Reply, and F Friends. He wasn't holding back at all. At that point, fans were sure Jay was gonna fire back with a savage diss track. But then everything changed. Just weeks later, Pac was gunned down in a drive-by in Las Vegas, and hip-hop would never be the same. But here's the twist most people don't know. Jay did write a response track called Scathing, and word is it was straight up brutal, aimed directly at Pac. But Jay didn't drop it, supposedly because he didn't want to keep the drama alive while Pac was still breathing. Real ones barely knew that track even existed. But after Pac passed, Jay did perform it live at the Apollo Theater. According to DJ Clark Kent, that song was ruthless. Jay let it rip like he had something heavy on his chest and was finally airing it out. It felt personal, like he had been holding it in, waiting for the right moment to go off. Now that raised a lot of eyebrows. Why would Jay choose to go full attack mode after Pac was gone? Some folks say it's because Jay secretly felt relieved when Pac died, like he no longer had to compete with that kind of raw, unshakable presence. Pac had that rare energy you just can't copy. And here's the wildest part. Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, spilled that Jay was so shook of Pac that one time in Vegas, he straight up refused to leave his hotel for a show, just because Pac and his crew were out there. That fear ran deep.
What's the story behind Jay-Z being afraid to come out his hotel room because of Pac?
All right, what happened was that I guess Pac had got whiffed that Jay-Z was in town. Well, you know he's gonna do a show because Jay-Z, he doing a show. But you gotta realize Jay-Z had became an enemy of Pac because I think he had said some was gonna do a song with Big or whatever like that, the whole 9 yards. So Jay is now Pac's enemy too. So Chaz Williams, who was over Black Hands. Black Hands was one of the labels who did that Black Gangsta had every artist in New York on. And Chaz, who is now getting into the music business, has become a music executive. And he was once a former gangster who was on American Gangster BET because they had him down for robbing 161 banks. That's what they put in their program and everything. But Chaz was a gangster in New York City that became a music executive. So he gets a phone call saying that Jay is not gonna come out the room because Tupac threatened him. So he's not gonna do his show. Can he make some phone calls? You understand?
Fans still call Jay out for never throwing shots at Pac face to face. Instead, he waited until Pac couldn't respond. And that had people calling Jay-Z shady to this day? Truth is, Jay and his East Coast circle were always tossing slick subliminals at Pac, low-key jabs just to get a reaction. And it worked. They knew Pac wore his heart on his sleeve and wouldn't let anything slide. Rappers who were around back then say Jay was deeply jealous of Pac's raw charisma. No matter how clean his bars were, Jay knew he couldn't touch that kind of magnetic energy Pac had. It wasn't just about lyrics, it was the presence, the spirit, the soul behind the mic. Even Nas backed that up later. In an interview, Nas dropped a bomb. He said Jay once told him straight up that he was better than both Pac and Biggie. Nas told Vibe, "We were kicking it and he told me he's better than Biggie. I looked at him like he was crazy." Then he really got wild and said Tupac and DMX weren't lyricists. Nas pushed back, saying, "Tupac was the greatest ever, period." That moment said a lot. But jealousy wasn't the only thing fans started calling out. Many labeled Jay-Z a snake for who he chose to stand by, even when things got sketchy, like his tight connection with Diddy. Jay stayed close to Diddy even after rumors linked Diddy to Tupac's death, and after Pac and Biggie were both gone, Diddy started hyping Jay up, saying he was the one carrying the torch now. And despite all the talk swirling around Diddy over the years, including serious accusations, Jay stuck by his side.
You filled them shoes though. You feel you came in and you know what I'm saying? So we definitely give thanks for you. You know what I'm saying? Because you definitely, came in and I just know how much Big like really looked up to Jay. You know what I'm saying? They looked up to each other. And yeah, that is crazy to have to step into the shoes of like two people. Because that's all it was those two people. And they had like the game, they had things on lock. Hov was coming, you know what I'm saying? But like, it was like these two cats was just so big, you know what I'm saying? And then so it's like to have all of that, like, come on you and have that responsibility to keep this shit fly and keep the art of it going. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I think Hov really kept Hov kept the art of it going and was able to take where they was at and take it, you know what I'm saying?
Until the 2023 Cassie lawsuit exploded and flipped everything upside down. Then suddenly, Jay started acting brand new, claiming him and Diddy were never even tight like that. Fans weren't buying it. So now the big question is, what's really going on behind the scenes? Was Jay playing the long game this whole time? And if you thought the drama ended there, guess again, because Jay-Z's rise to the top didn't just come with bars and business moves, it came with a whole lot of silence about the legends that came before him. People are still asking, how did Jay go from the shadow of giants like Kane, Pac, and Biggie to suddenly being crowned without ever fully acknowledging the shoulders he stood on? Let's be real, While Jay built his empire, he rarely gave consistent respect to the ones who helped pave his path. Big Daddy Kane brought him on tour, taught him the ropes, and got him studio time when nobody else would. But where's the public love? Where's the repeated shout-outs? Fans started noticing that Jay only gave quick nods here and there, never full credit. And when it came to Pac, Jay avoided facing him directly when he was alive, only clapping back after Pac was gone. That's why so many fans labeled it as calculated, not courageous. And now, with Diddy facing major heat and former insiders flipping left and right, Jay's been playing it real quiet. Some even say he's trying to rewrite history in real time, like suddenly distancing himself from Diddy, acting like there was never any bond between them despite years of collabs, public praise, and business moves together. At this point, people are starting to question everything. Was Jay's entire climb based on quietly sidestepping his rivals while waiting until they couldn't respond? From brushing off Kane, ducking Pac, and now ghosting Diddy, there's a growing crowd saying Jay didn't just earn the throne, he strategized for it behind closed doors, and the streets are talking because when legends disappear from the story, somebody's usually rewriting the script. Now let's talk about the throne itself, because Jay-Z didn't just take the crown, he built a whole empire on it. But the question is, at what cost? A lot of people feel like Jay's whole climb to being labeled the GOAT wasn't just about talent, it was about being in the right rooms, shaking the right hands, and keeping quiet when things got messy. See, while other artists were risking everything, speaking out, getting political, calling out the game, Jay played it safe. He watched. He moved in silence. And when the smoke cleared, he was still standing untouched and suddenly on top. That's not a coincidence. That's chess. And now, in recent years, Jay's been praised for being a business mogul, rubbing shoulders with billionaires, making big moves with major companies. But fans haven't forgotten how he got here. Some say he traded the raw soul of hip-hop for boardroom seats. The same guy who once rapped about the streets is now shaking hands with the very power players the old legends used to call out. Even his silence during major controversies raised eyebrows. While other artists stood up or spoke out during industry scandals or social justice moments, Jay picked his words carefully, too carefully, and fans started asking, was it growth or just more strategy? Plus, with all these past connections, Kane, Pac, Biggie, Diddy, getting swept under the rug, folks can't help but feel like Jay's trying to clean his image up while the truth stays buried. So now people are wondering, is Jay-Z really the self-made king he claims to be? Or did he build his legacy in the shadows of fallen icons, only to rise when their voices were silenced? One thing's for sure, every king's reign has a story, and this one's still being questioned. Big Daddy Kane dropping hints of betrayal, Tupac throwing out warnings, and Jay-Z moving in silence behind the scenes. It all adds up to a story that's way deeper than most people realize. We're not just talking about flow or talent here, we're talking about calculated moves, silent power plays, and loyalty left behind. Jay didn't just borrow bars, he might have stepped over the very people who helped build him up. As legendary as Jay is, more and more voices in the game are starting to speak out. People who were right there watching him rise. And the picture they're painting, it's not all clean. They're saying Jay's legacy wasn't just crafted in studios. It was built on silence, distance, and a whole lot of cold moves. So now we gotta ask, was Jay-Z just a mastermind playing the industry game to survive? Or did he cross the line and leave real ones behind? Did he turn his back on Kane after he got that shine? Was he low-key jealous of Tupac and just waiting for the moment to snatch the crown? It's got people talking, and now it's your turn. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did Jay betray his day ones, or was he just doing what it takes to win in a cutthroat industry? Don't hold back. And yo, if you're into stories like this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You already know we're bringing all the wildest twists and turns from the world of celebrity drama. Click the next video on your screen to keep diving into more untold stories, shady moves, and the real drama behind the fame. I'll catch you in the next one.